Okay, in this video we're going to talk about whole steps and half steps and intervals, but mostly whole steps and half steps. Let's talk about what an interval is. An interval is from one spot to another. Now, if this marimba is standing, sitting right here in front of me, and I'm standing behind it, there is an interval of distance between me and the instrument. So interval refers to space between one thing and another, essentially. So on a instrument, an interval between different notes is a representation of space between those notes. So for example, this B to this C, they're right next to each other. This is the closest you could possibly get between two notes. We call this a half step because it's right next to each other. A whole step, which would be twice a half step, would be from B to C sharp. So here's how you calculate that. From B to C, that's a half step. From C to C sharp, that's another half step. So from B to C sharp, that is a whole step. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1 whole. So if I said 1.5 steps, that would be half step plus half step plus half step. So if I said from B to D, that would be 1.5 steps up. Now there are other names for these intervals, but we're just going to focus on half steps and whole steps. So half steps and whole steps are going to become super important to us as we start talking about key signatures and scales. So let's practice going over some whole steps and half steps. So from G, if I told you I wanted to go up a half step, I would go to G sharp. If I was on G sharp and I told you I wanted to go up a whole step, 1, 2, that would be A sharp. Let's say I'm on C and I want to go up 1 whole step. Then I would go to D because I'm skipping this note, C sharp or D flat, however you want to look at it. If I'm on B and I want to go up a whole step, 1, 2, C sharp or D flat is a whole step up from B. If I'm on B and I want to go down 1/2 step, then I would go down to B flat or A sharp. If I am on B flat and I want to go down 1/2 step, then that means I would go to A. If I'm on A and I go down a whole step, 1, 2, then now I'm on G. So to say that, oh, if I'm going up a whole step, that means I'm going up a complete letter, 1. Well, this is true in some cases. The exception would be B to C, that's a half step, and the other exception would be E to F. You could say, okay, well, if I'm on a sharp or a flat, if I go up or down a whole step, then I'm going up to another sharp or flat. Well, that's true in some cases. But if I'm going from B flat up a whole step, then that's going to C. If I am on E flat and I go up a whole step, then I go to F. So it's not true in every case, so don't think that way. Think like this. A 1/2 step is always the very next note, either up or down, depending on the direction that you're going. Up meaning higher in pitch or to the right. Lower meaning to the left. If you want to go up a whole step or down a whole step, then that will be 2 notes, or 1/2 step plus 1/2 step together, making a whole step. So higher in pitch means you're going this way on the keyboard. Lower in pitch means you're going this way on the keyboard. So this is the lesson on half steps and whole steps. You need to know this before you start jumping into scales and key signatures.